We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene say that they no longer support the Republican Party, blaming its Israel-Iran stance. This once again exposes growing divisions within the GOP over U.S. foreign policy.
Romeo Beckham makes his film debut in 40 Love, a gay tennis romance exploring rivalry, ambition, and self-discovery through an unexpected connection on court.
20 New York City Pride Grand Marshals urge organizers to bar hospitals that halted gender-affirming care for transgender minors, saying Pride must protect trans youth and uphold LGBTQ community values and mounting pressure.
The Trump administration is investigating 3 Michigan school districts over transgender inclusive sports and locker room policies. This step is part of escalating efforts by the federal government to restrict transgendered students' rights under its interpretation of Title IX.
Malaysia will replace LGBT with deviant culture in official communications. LGBTQ advocates warn the move further stigmatizes the community amid criminalization, discrimination, and hundreds of LGBTQ-related arrests last year.
All this important LGBTQ plus news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company VetIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached more than 12 million views. We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Tuesday, June 23rd, and we are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show. Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots happening out South Florida. In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories.
We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television shows, news, talk and entertainment shows support our mission and educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voices as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. And first up, let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
It's a distinct pleasure to be here. And having walked more than 11,000 steps this morning in near 90-degree temperatures, I want to wish everyone a happy National Hydration Day and remind our viewers to stay hydrated in these scorching summer months.
Cheers. And let's welcome anchor Luis Rodriguez. Born and raised in Miami, Luis is deeply rooted in South Florida's LGBTQ+ community. He is a graduate of the University of South Florida. He serves as office manager at Twist nightclub in Miami Beach. Dedicated to service, Luis has volunteered with numerous organizations and currently sits on the board of directors for both Miami Beach Pride and the OUTshine LGBTQ+ Film Festival. Luis, OUTshine Summer Screenings is all set to bring LGBTQ+ films to South Florida from July 27th and on. Tell me, what's happening out?
The OUTshine Film Festival, LGBTQ Film Festival, continues this year round Cocktails and Cinemas, a series with OUTshine Summer Screenings, featuring acclaimed queer films across South Florida from July 27th to September 24th. Screenings will take place at O Cinema in South Beach, Paradigm Cinemas at the Gateway Theater in Fort Lauderdale, and Tower Theater in Miami. The lineup includes On the Sea, A Man Walks Down the Street, The Divine Tragedy, Trial of Hein, Mad Fabulous, Will Find Happiness, An Island Away from You, plus a to-be-announced Latin film. Moviegoers are encouraged to bring friends, enjoy a drink, and celebrate queer cinema while connecting the community. More information and tickets are outshinefilm.com. I'm so happy that OUTshine we're able to provide some films year-round besides our two big films festivals in the spring and the fall. We're gearing up for our fall festival in October. We'll have 7 days in Fort Lauderdale, 2 days in Miami, so we're looking forward to that. But between that, we have these Cocktails and Cinemas that join our Broward County and Dade County viewers and friends together to see some good queer cinema.
We need to bridge that divide. I think that county line is more than just a line in the sand. I think sometimes psychologically, people in the Fort Lauderdale community at least say, you know, Miami, it's a bit far, but it's always great when Miami comes up to Fort Lauderdale. So anytime that happens, I like to be there. So thank you so much for what you and your organization are doing.
Oh, thank you.
Very exciting. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the OUTshine Summer Screenings from July 27th and on.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Brian Bender. Brian is a true South Florida local. He is an educator, community leader, and a strong voice in education, history, and public policy. He teaches in Broward County Public Schools, holds a bachelor's and master's degree in education and a postgraduate degree in leadership, and serves on the Fort Lauderdale Education Advisory Board. How do you find time to get here? Well, welcome anyway, Brian. Welcome to the show.
You know, I just put it in my Google Calendar, and, you know, with all those credentials that I have, it's really what it should say is I'm just a big nerd, so I try to make everything work. And I just want to say I'm very excited to be here with you gentlemen at the round table. As usual, we're going to have a really fun time, and let's discuss all the relevant news topics that are affecting our community. I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up politics. Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene say that they are done supporting the Republican Party. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia say they are no longer supporting the Republican Party, citing disagreements over U.S. policy toward Israel and Iran. In a recent broadcast, Carlson announced he was leaving the party after decades as a Republican supporter.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, you know, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? That's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, right, MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral, and it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation, and they're not doing that. So no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
He went on to argue that U.S. support for Israel had drawn the country into an ongoing conflict with Iran. Soon, Greene echoed Carlson's frustration in a social media post, writing, quote, "Tucker is not the only one who is done supporting the Republican Party. There is a lot of us that are absolutely fed up and will not support a party that betrays its voters and country. That does not mean we're turning into Democrats either, but we are done with the America Last Republican Party," end quote. Greene's comments suggest her criticism is directed at the party's current leadership rather than signaling support for Democrats. Their remarks come as some conservative commentators have publicly criticized President Donald Trump over his handling of the conflict with Iran, exposing growing divisions within parts of the Republican base over U.S. foreign policy. We know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is what do they grow in don't they grow nuts in Georgia somewhere? She is just like a homegrown pecan.
Yep.
She is just one big nutty girl.
No peach, yeah.
Yeah, she's no peach, that's for sure. Tucker Carlson, there's a lot of insinuation that he's receiving Qatari money. The Qataris are all over U.S. foreign policy. They're all in the educational space to try to dominate certain narratives. I'm not saying that foreign governments don't do the wrong things. I'm not saying that, Israel is always 100% justified. But he's getting very dangerously close to the place where he's not in the mainstream of the Republicans, he's not in the mainstream of the Democrats, and he's really appealing to a certain minority of the population that are either extremely anti-Semitic, and it's not a becoming look for him. This is a guy that grew up on like Swanson frozen food money. His father was a very, very wealthy man. I know that that's neither here nor there, but this is a guy that has had access to a lot of education. And I think what he's doing is incredibly dangerous, whether or not you agree with Israel or not. And you don't have to, and that doesn't make you anti-Jewish. I think he's quite crossed over a line because him and Candace Owens are like besties. Yeah. And it's funny. She says, I never talk about Israel. And then I saw a post where in like the course of like over a year, she mentioned Israel like 432 times. Yes. So that's the league he's in right now.
It's always interesting that he says that the Republicans are betraying Republicans and not betraying citizens, all the citizens. They've been doing that for years, over many years, and he's just targeting just all Republicans. No, they betrayed everybody across the board, and now he's trying to realize it.
Leaving the Republican Party, big whoop. I keep waiting for Tuck the Cuck to announce he's leaving the planet. Maybe he could take MTG, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, and maybe Peter Thiel with him. I mean, oh my God, boo fucking who?
I wouldn't cry.
I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up entertainment. Romeo Beckham makes acting debut in gay tennis romance 40 Love, set for November release. 40 Love is a gay tennis romance that is set to premiere in French theaters on November 25th. The first look image was unveiled as the film launched its international sales campaign. Beckham stars as a charismatic new rival to tennis champion Sasha Gallo, played by Paul Kircher. As Sasha trains with his father to win a major tournament in Paris, Beckham's character challenges not only his game, but also his understanding of competition, ambition, and himself. Directed by fashion photographer Pierre-Ange Carlotti, in his feature directorial debut, 40 Love also stars Guillaume Canet, Benjamin Voisin, and Catherine Deneuve, with a score by 070 Shake and Johan Lennox. First of all, don't you think that's putting a lot of pressure on a kid to name him Romeo? I mean, that just seems like
I guess they wanted
too
him to
much.
be a lover.
Second, I hope he's a better actor than his mother is a singer. And third, at least we have Catherine Deneuve to look forward to.
I'm surprised she signed on to this project. On another note, with this whole Beckham family, I don't think he's gay. And I think he's married to a woman. And I think that mom and dad don't like her.
That's
and
the other brother.
Is it? Okay,
The
so
other-
I'm confused.
yeah.
So I feel kind of bad for that whole family, just that they can't see eye to eye on anything. I mean, good for him that he's going to get a payday that's, a little bit removed from his family name. I'm not saying that it wasn't nepotism.
Yeah, Nepo.
Nepo baby. I'm not saying that he's a Nepo baby. I hope he has some talent to back up his name, Romeo.
Wherefore out there, Romeo.
Wherefore out there art thou. But it sounds like heated rivalry just set to tennis. So I guess they found a winning formula. The producer.
Is this in French with subtitles? Is it?
I don't know.
Because they said it's all French. It's a French film.
Right.
Oh,
So it might have some interesting relationships in it.
You say
Since it's not-
you say the word interesting, but nothing about that story made me interested to want to see it. So I would report back to us. Let us know.
I'm Luis Rodriguez, and let's queer up the USA view. New York City Grand Marshals urge ban on hospitals that ended gender-affirming care for trans youth. Past and current New York City Pride Grand Marshals are urging Heritage of Pride to bar hospital systems that stop providing gender-affirming care to transgender minors from participating in the New York City Pride March on June 28. The letter, organized by Gender Liberation Movement, specifically names NYU, Long Gone Health, Mount Sinai, and New York Presbyterian. It also calls for excluding any medical institution that cooperated with federal efforts to obtain sensitive patient records of transgender minors. The petition has drawn support from 20 Grand Marshals, LGBTQ+ organizations, community leaders, and families of transgender children. Signers include Bowen Yang, Dominique Jackson, Peppermint, Jay Walker, Michelle Visage, T.S. Madison, and Jazz Jennings. Raquel Willis, a co-founder of Generation Liberation Movement, said, quote, "Each year we are tested against the values of our ancestors and transcestors during Pride. This year, when our vulnerable next generation of transgender and non-binary youth are being denied care, NYC Pride must hold the line and disallow hospitals that have unlawfully upheld hateful policies. Affirming families of trans youth are on the front lines of that fight against fascism. We owe to them to defend their access and safety," end quote. The call follows growing pressure on hospitals nationwide over gender-affirming care for minors, including a criminal subpoena issued by NYU Langona seeking patient records. It's an ongoing where policies are being done by non-medical people, non-healthcare professionals, and then over trying to supersede parent rights and parent decisions over their youth and the health of their families. And then these institutions being held hostage by a government that wants to have an imposition on other people's lives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Erasure. That's what it's about. I mean, to me, taking this kind of stand that they're talking about, it makes me think about the fact that, Pride was a protest. Before there was Pride, there was protest. And so it's interesting to hear these people are protesting, and it reminds me, what happened in the 60s in San Francisco and New York at the dawn of the gay pride movement. And in a way, I was thinking about that, the way, again, another protest when Kathy Hilton was supposed to be the Grand Marshal at the West Hollywood thing, their parade, and people spoke out. So I love this. I love this kind of activism, this kind of protest that's happening at a time when we know that Pride was a protest.
You can't support us and then act physically and emotionally and right there in front of us against us.
Yes, so speak up, right? Speak out.
I think two things can be true at once. I think what you gentlemen are saying is 100% right. Put your name on that protest, petition your government, petition people to get the heck out of your spaces if you don't want them there, you don't feel comfortable. That's true. On the other hand, I think cynically, probably these hospitals might be saying, good, fine, no problem. We don't need to join this because it's putting a bigger spotlight on us with the Trump administration anyway. I don't think that there is anybody, I don't know, but I would think that there's nobody specifically hateful at any of these hospitals in New York City that want to deny people care. That's number one. So I think that they're between a rock and a hard place. They have to comply with certain things that are coming down from the federal government. This group of activists, they're not wrong, but I believe they have to understand the nuance of perhaps these hospitals want to be their allied, but just can't be the ally to the extent that the trans activists want them to be.
Right,
Does that
because
make sense? I'm not trying.
it's what's the first do no harm, that's the medical thing. So
Right.
of course they want to help people.
Of
But
course.
yes, their hands are tied
Their
by
hands
the
are tied.
government.
And I feel like these trans activists are 100% right to say, we don't want you marching with us, but to not personalize it and make it that it was a decision taken in a vacuum by these hospital administrations.
It's more administrative than the actual healthcare profession.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
So that's my
Because they're businesses, after all, hospitals too.
and I, to be honest, I don't know that they're going to be losing tons of money if people don't want to do their gender affirming care with them at their hospital.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a nasty, snarky way. I just mean that that's probably not their bread and butter.
Right.
It's probably a specialty service that they offer, which they should, because everybody is entitled to get the service that they need, especially if you're suffering.
Right.
I just think that there's some nuance here, and I feel bad that these trans activists don't feel comfortable having these hospitals march with them. But I don't think they should be punished either, because we're living in an unprecedented time. And, you know, they want to still be in business in the next 20 years. So hopefully when we get another administration
soon.
that isn't so hateful, they can continue doing what they were doing previously. So I have some mixed feelings about that. I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up trans rights. Trump administration investigates Michigan schools over trans-inclusive sports policies. The Trump administration has opened federal civil rights investigations into 3 Michigan school districts over policies that allow transgender students to participate in sports and use locker rooms consistent with their gender identity. The U.S. Department of Education announced investigations into Ann Arbor Public Schools, Monroe Public Schools, and Chippewa Valley School District, alleging the policies may violate Title IX by discriminating against cisgender students. Chippewa Valley School said it had not yet received official notice before the announcement, but pledged cooperation, stating, quote, "As a matter of practice, the district cooperates fully with any review conducted by the Office for Civil Rights. Chippewa Valley Schools remains committed to providing a safe, supportive, and respectful learning environment for all students and to complying with all applicable federal and state laws and regulations," end quote. The investigations follow a complaint filed by a parent regarding a transgendered student on Ann Arbor girls volleyball team, and come one day after a similar federal probe was launched in North Carolina. The actions are part of the administration's broader efforts to enforce its interpretation of Title IX, following President Donald Trump's executive order seeking to bar transgender athletes from competing on teams that align with their gender identity. Well, the thing that's so striking is that when you have a legal proceeding, you have to show that a party has been injured. And really what they do is, in order to say that a party was injured, they say that the cisgendered party has been injured because you're infringing upon cisgendered rights by allowing transgendered people to participate, which it's quite Orwellian that our system of legal checks and balances and separation of the powers made it so that not everybody could bring a legal case, for whatever reason. I don't like what's going on 3,000 miles away. It has nothing to do with me. Well, then you can't bring a case. But if you make it personal to yourself, then you could bring a case about almost anything. So what they want to do is they want to find cisgendered students who feel hurt by the fact that people are being recognized, and they're saying, "You feel hurt by that, don't you? Are you sure you don't feel hurt?" But yeah, you do. You do. You don't want them to have the same rights you do. Okay, so you're going to be our plaintiff in this case. So it's always about pitting one group against the other in order for somebody to have standing in the court and to be able to bring these hateful resolutions before judges. It's
a page from the Riley Gaines handbook.
Hello, Miss Ryan.
Distraction from the Epstein files. Distraction from the Epstein files. I'll say it again. Distraction from the Epstein files. Why are you messing with the Department of Education? Just distraction from the reflecting pool catastrophe, from the ongoing grift of the Trump family. All of these things that they're doing is to distract you because the Epstein files are still there.
But it's also interesting. Well, these are adults and parents that are complaining, not the athletes,
Right.
not the people on the teams, not the other youth that are playing with them in the sports. It's not the people that are actually doing the sports that are insulted or complaining. It's the parent or some adult, and sometimes an adult's not even involved in the sport or the school at all.
From my understanding, though, they're using their children to say that their children are the injured parties. The cisgendered children are the ones injured because transgendered athletes get to participate. So by being able to use the locker room that identifies with their gender identity, by them being able to play on certain sports teams, no matter what level of transition, if a student has been transitioning from the time that they're very small and they're can be practically indistinguishable from, a cisgendered student, it's just so hateful and it's so scapegoatish. And I think we know what happens when groups start getting singled out for not even preferential or non-preferential treatment, but just hateful treatment. Yeah. It's really the canary in the coal mine of what's to come. And it's about enforcing a certain way of moralizing people's lives and what is degenerate and what is not degenerate. You look in nature and there's something like over 100 species of animals, show homosexual tendencies. You have, peacocks for God's sakes, you would think that those birds with those beautiful feathers, you would think those were the male. It's the male, but there's so much beauty in the world, and there's so much beauty in biology, and these people that want to be biological realists. Well, what were you born as a child? And it doesn't really get to the heart. They think they're getting to the heart, but it doesn't really get to the heart of the human experience. And
give them a chance to be cruel. And again, it was a parent in Ann Arbor that complained, that brought the complaint. Of course. Right. I wonder what the kid has to say about it.
The kid's probably very embarrassed by the parent and probably said to the people on the team, I'm sorry, my mom's in this bag. I can't help it. That's just how she is.
I'm Gregg Shapiro. Let's queer up the worldview. Malaysia to replace LGBT with deviant culture term, drawing condemnation from rights groups. Malaysia's government is moving to stop using the term LGBT in official communications, replacing it with the Malay phrase budaya songsang, which translates to deviant culture. The decision was confirmed by a government official this week. Earlier this year, Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Marhama Rosli, said the change is intended to reduce LGBTQ-related content appearing online. Speaking during a parliament session, she said, quote, "The more we utter, write, or state LGBT, the more pop-out content related to it will appear. Without realizing it, we are promoting the culture unknowingly," end quote. Malaysia criminalizes same-sex sexual activity under federal law, with penalties that can include imprisonment, caning, fines, and deportation. The country also has no nationwide anti-discrimination protections or legal gender recognition for transgender people. LGBTQ advocacy group Justice for Sisters, which reported 307 arrests of LGBTQ people under federal and state laws in 2025, condemned the terminology change, saying, quote, "The term budaya songsang dehumanizes LGBT people, fuels misinformation, and reinforces the dangerous belief that LGBT people should be corrected," end quote. Well, I guess that means that some of us, not me per se, but those with disposable deviant culture income will have to find more deviant culture welcoming countries to liberally spend our hard-earned travel cash and support economies in countries that support us. So fuck Malaysia. Don't bother going there. Who wants to go there anywhere? There are so many other places that are more welcoming.
And words do matter. Words do matter. And in this case, expanding it to deviant culture, are they going to expand it to people of different colors, people with different religions,
Of
people
course they
people
are.
with disabilities?
Are these rhetorical questions
And
or
then-
are these real
So,
questions?
they're just going to use this to expand it across, to discriminate against more people.
Of course, because, it's always no pun intended, it's always the lowest hanging fruit that they go for. Gay people are, can stick out in certain ways, and if you're not, if you're not conforming to whatever idea that they have about what's correct, they're going to call you Budaya Songsang, which I think a Malaysian who, if you're able to, defect from Malaysia and go to a Western country and you're a drag queen, I think that should be your name, Budaya Songsang.
Nice, that works.
That's the good news.
I think that's a really great name.
Yeah,
That's going to be my password for something. I'm not going to tell you what because I don't want you breaking into my stuff, but it's a good one. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up politics. Nancy Mace's quote trans mice end quote bill draws backlash from scientists. Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace is facing criticism after promoting legislation she calls Trans Mice Act, which aimed at banning federally funded, quote, radical transgender experiments, end quote, on animals. Posting on Twitter, Mace wrote, quote, animals should not be used for radical transgender experiments. This is not science. This is ideological cruelty paid for by the American taxpayers. No federal funds may be used to conduct, support, or fund research aimed at altering an animal's biological sex, end quote. Her post quickly received a community note explaining that trans mice commonly refers to transgenic mice, genetically modified animals widely used in cancer and other medical research, not transgender-related studies. She did not cite specific examples of the research targeted by the bill. This is a woman who is so like Pavlovian dog. She hears like a signal. She hears the word TRA, and before you even get an N or an S on there, she thinks it's transgender. She just wants to go after anybody. Like she just has a vendetta. I think there's something so like we're going to get like a biopic about her, unauthorized somehow, some way. We're going to find out so much shit about this woman because she's like an SNL comedy skit.
Well, I was thinking that she's like Emily Latella from the old days on SNL when Gilda Radner, what's all this talk about sex and violins?
That's true.
It was like, no, sex. I mean, that was the thing, that she sounds like Emily Latella. And by the way, fuck off, you ignorant, illiterate, Mar-a-Lago-faced skank, Nancy Mace.
Let's make a whole legislation on something with no backup.
Right, and she thinks that she saw the word trans and she thought it meant transgendered, and really it just meant transgenic, meaning that they've changed something in that mouse in order to try out a new drug or a new, I don't know, they don't put soap in their eyes, like all that mean stuff with the
So does that mean that she won't get in her car because it has a transmission?
I guess she never had a Trans Am, a transistor radio.
Right.
But she might have
transportation.
She might have had a trans sister, and that's why she's. I don't know. I'm just making that up. But maybe this runs deep with her. So
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Madonna says Universal budget dispute ended her biopic plans. Madonna says her long-planned biopic fell apart after a budget dispute with Universal, but her life story is now being reworked as a Netflix series. Speaking with Interview Magazine, the pop icon said, quote, "We got a falling out, me and Universal, regarding budget. I've had an extraordinary life. I've had a huge life, so I need a big budget. And I couldn't use the script I had with Universal unless I bought it from them for an extortionate price, even though I wrote it," end quote. Madonna says she later explored adapting her story into a series. The project is now reportedly in development at Netflix with director Sean Levy. Honey, I would rather watch a biopic about Shirley Booth, Nancy Walker, or Kylie Minogue, all of whom are far more deserving of a biopic than you, Madonna.
You're in rare form tonight, and I like it. And I just want to say, that ship has so sailed, and I don't want to be like one of these people from the new generation, because I'm definitely not the new generation anymore, but I'm a millennial, and there's been like 2 generations since my prime, and I have to be honest, I think my generation was over Madonna, 20 years ago. So for her to be talking about, a Netflix series and a this series and a that series, I think that's going to be her folly, like Jennifer Lopez. You know how she funded her own movie about her love life and it flopped, and Ben Affleck said, the first cardinal rule of Hollywood is never to fund your own movie.
You mean like the Melania movie?
Yeah, probably that infomercial that sold nothing. Yeah. So I think this is folly on her part. I think she is just, chasing relevance like she always does. And I know that there are some people that sit at this table that absolutely love her. Faye, I know you love her. I get it. But I am going to say that she's from another time, and I don't know that anybody's really going to watch
This
that.
is the push for her to try to promote her new music that's coming out.
Yeah.
Well, new music?
She has new music.
Really?
Confessions of a Dance Floor 2. How original.
Did she learn to sing?
So people are pushing it.
She learned an instrument.
So she has to, you have to get in the news and be relevant so you can push your music later. LGBTQ 1-minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Minneapolis moves towards repealing decade-old Bathhouse ban after strong public support. The Minneapolis City Council is set to vote next week on repealing a 1988 ordinance that bans adult bathhouses, following strong public support during a recent hearing. More than 30 residents spoke in favor of ending the ban, with several LGBTQ+ advocates arguing the law unfairly targeted same-sex relationships and people living with HIV and AIDS. Researcher Jay Orn said, quote, "Research has shown that pushing sexual activity into less visible spaces does not eliminate the risk. It makes outreach and educating more difficult," end quote. Supporters also cited tourism and safer sex education as potential benefits. If approved, the repeal would begin a longer process before bathhouses could legally operate. This is calling it taking things out of the dark and putting it into the light, or putting the light, putting it back in the dark.
Depends how you.
But they know about it first. It was a health issue, but people are more educated now on the health issues, and now there are other medications, more education out there. People know more, but you relegate this to the LGBTQ+ community when some of the straight community has their spaces and they weren't affected.
Well, yeah,
so
yes.
This is
Well, I guess
targeted.
I'm not straight because I didn't know that.
Well, no, I think it's even mentioned in the story that it isn't necessarily gay bathhouses.
So it has to be
public spaces where people can go.
It's a private public space where certain people go and enjoy their company.
Right.
I understand and I don't always want to be seen as the person that understands like the big bad people that we talk about. I do understand that it was a ban put in place in 1988. That was the height of the HIV/AIDS epidemic that was happening. That was before people were on medications that stabilized them. Right. And the people that are on that original medication that did survive, it did quite a number on them. So I can understand that in 1988, they put a ban on that because they didn't want more infections. It needed to be revisited about 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Not 40.
Not 40, exactly. So I think it's a long time coming, no pun intended, because nobody's been coming there, obviously. But I just want to say good luck. And as far as tourism goes, if it's a really nice place, I wouldn't mind, getting a little weekend trip up to Minneapolis. It's a lovely city. And it'd be even lovelier if there were spaces where we could have some fun. So good on them if it gets through.
Yep. More safer spaces for more safer people.
Yep. Okay. LGBTQ 1-minute news. Let's queer up the USA View. Police chief returns after judge reduces discipline in anti-gay slur case. A New Jersey police chief has returned to duty after a judge reduced disciplinary action for his use of an anti-gay slur while on duty. Roselle Police Chief Stacy Williams, who is a man, was fired in 2024 after an investigation found that he used offensive language, including the F slur, during an on-duty conversation back in October of 2022. He also faced allegations of, quote, abusive, retaliatory, and bizarre behavior, end quote, from the local Policemen's Benevolent Association. In 2025, an administrative judge dismissed most disciplinary charges and reduced Williams's punishment to a 30-day suspension. The ruling found the slur's use was, quote, overstated and neither discriminatory nor targeted toward another officer or specific individual, end quote. The decision was later upheld, leading to the reinstatement of Williams's law enforcement license. He returned as Roselle Police Chief earlier this month. It's crummy that the police chief, and this isn't just an ordinary cop on his beat doing his thing, saying, those faggots over there, blah, blah, blah. I don't condone that. It sounds, though, that he needed, it sounds like that's how he used it, because it wasn't directed toward anybody. It wasn't anybody specific. He was just using it as a general pejorative, describing people, obviously. The other part's a little more complicated, where they said he was bizarre, abusive, aggressive, retaliatory.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know what that's all about. I think the least of my worries is him using the F slur, especially when it's not directed at anybody specifically. I don't like hearing it. I would correct somebody if I heard it in my presence. But I think it makes it even less offensive if it's not directed. It's like if you're going to use the F word, it's not like, hey, F you. It's like, oh, those effing water bottles are always, it's different, how you, and I know he used a different F word. I was just using another example. But it's, if you're using it as an adjective, if you're using it, certain ways carry different connotations. So
my concern is the example for other officers.
For sure.
He's the leader. It comes from the top down.
Right.
He's a leader, so he kind of got away, but didn't get away with it. There was like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
But what does this say to other officers that are not in this high position that might not get caught or reported?
Well, and it makes me think, putting this guy back, giving him his job back, it's like the stuff going on now with in the national news stories about the recent decrease in acceptance of same-gender marriage and the rise in anti-LGBTQ sentiment. It just feels like it's part of all that. Like, it's like, well, this guy's, anti-gay or whatever, let's put him back in office. It's like, well, yeah, because now it's cool to be cruel to gay people.
He's the leader of a club that's not made for you and me.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up lesbians and queer women. BBC's final season of I Kissed a Girl premieres today. The second and final season of I Kissed a Girl premiered today, June 23rd, marking the end of the BBC's LGBTQ+ dating franchise. The first 4 episodes are available to stream on BBC iPlayer, while the first 2 episodes air on BBC 3. New episodes will be released weekly, bringing the season to a total of 10 episodes. Pop icon Danny Minogue returns as host, with Charlie Marlowe back as narrator, and making a special on-screen appearance in Italy. The BBC confirmed earlier this year that the I Kissed a Girl franchise is ending due to funding challenges, despite backlash from fans who launched a petition calling for its return. Oh, those wacky Brits, I tell you.
It's one of the few shows that actually had different body types, different backgrounds.
You've watched it before?
Yes, I did.
You have? Okay.
Had to just
Tell us
to
all
stay
about it. I
informed.
won't judge you.
But it did have that, and it was in Italy. It was a pretty little villa.
Okay.
But it did have different backgrounds, different body types, different ones you don't usually see in these
Like of men?
kiss and tell shows. They had men, women.
Oh, they had, because it looks like a girl show.
It was a girl show, but they had different. They had butch to,
Okay, but they were
them,
still ladies.
Spectrum, the full
they had the full
Still
spectrum.
ladies, not a show for me.
And they had body types and backgrounds, which was different.
I think that's wonderful. These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. This is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Brian Bender, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Gregg Shapiro and Luis Rodriguez. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we bid you adieu and good night.